So you're thinking of moving to or living in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, and you kind of want to be that active person, find out things to do, places to go, people to see. Well, you're listening to the right channel and the right video today. Today what we're going to do is hit 5 day trips, and I know day is relative, but 5 day trips from the Charlotte area, so stick around. Silva with Long Tab Realty, brokered by eXp Realty here in Charlotte, North Carolina. If this is your first time to this channel, I always say please plug, punch, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and you're going to be the first person to know when we put out new videos about the Charlotte market. On this channel, we get calls, text, emails, even get on Zoom calls all the time with folks just like you, trying to figure out what's going on in Charlotte and if it's the right place for them. So if you're thinking of coming here, again, for either a visit or moving here in 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months, please give us a call, get in touch with us, or leave a comment down below, or leave a comment somewhere, and let us know what you'd like to hear about and what you'd like to see on this channel. All right, so let's get to it. We're going to do 5, and actually the last one is more of a bonus of a surprise a surprise day trip in the Charlotte area. So we're going to do 4 plus 1. If that makes sense, my math. So stick around. Be aware that I could easily do 4 or 5 more videos, each with half a dozen day trips, whether they're 30 minutes outside of Charlotte in Mecklenburg County, which could be 30 minutes or 60 minutes, within an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours range. These are all going to be about 1 to 3 hours away, a little bit further, maybe a couple a little bit closer. But for me, that's a day trip. I can drive all day long. For you, maybe a 1 hour out and back trip is a day trip. So these are going to be probably a few of them with 3.5 hours, more likely 1 hour, 2 hour drive. And of course, some of these, if you find just so much activity there, you can even spend the night. All right, day trip number 1 is out west. That's my west. Out west to the mountains. That's about a 2.5 to 3 hour drive from central Charlotte. And there's lots to do in the mountains in the winter, summer, spring, or fall. In winter, there's snowboarding, there's skiing, there's tubing at places like Beech Mountain, Sugar Mountain. App States up near Boone has got their own ski hill. We've been up to all of those. My family and I, my son, either snowboarding or skiing, and they're all less than 3 hours away. So some great winter activity. And again, if you're not a skier, just go up there to hang out in the chalet and have a beer, have a wine, watch your friends and family come down the mountain in a tube or on a snowboard or on some skis. And those same 3 mountain areas are just 3 examples of the places you can go in the summer, spring, and fall to enjoy the foliage. You're going to see a lot of color changes, not quite like New England where I came from, but you're going to see some tremendous sights with color changes, great mountain views. You can do hiking, mountain biking in the lakes around the area. We'll get to that later on. Just hanging out. There's lots of vineyards to go to up in the mountains, so lots to do other than just skiing or snowboarding in the winter. Now, if you head a little bit further west from those 3 mountain ranges, you're going to run into Mount Mitchell. You're going to run into the Pisgah National Forest, which is about 500,000 acres of nature. And again, there's hiking, camping, or just relaxing in nature. So going west, 2.5, I think Boone's only about 2 hours, but 2.5, 3 hours away, you're going to find a lot to do up in the mountains of western North Carolina. Now, for those of you who are a little bit more adventurous and want to spend an overnight, again, this is not necessarily a day trip, but it might be a 2-day trip or a 3-day trip. And as I was saying, the really adventurous might want to go just south of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So I think it's on the North Carolina-Tennessee border, and find the Appalachian Trail Trailhead. And then you're going to be on about a 2 to 3 to 4 month journey, either north to Mount Katahdin up in Maine or south into Florida. So that's a little bit different. That's not quite a day trip, but we do have lots of the Appalachian Trail, Appalachian Trail go through North Carolina, and it's just, again, part of it is near Asheville, and then northwest of there, and then the trailhead is over near Gatlinburg. And let me just cover that one more time. What you're going to find out in those mountains in the summer: great hiking opportunities, rugged mountain trails. Some of them are less rugged. I've been up there with a couple friends, and just being and absorbing the bliss of nature. So it's a great opportunity going west. All right, lastly, about nature on the western side, we're going to head a little bit north and go up to the Creeper Trail, a place called the Creeper Trail, which is about 3.5 hours north of Charlotte. And this is an adventure I've done before. I've camped up in that area. Then we've got on bikes with my son, and I guess we've ridden the Creeper Trail. There's about a 35-mile trail running from Abington, Virginia to White Top, Virginia, or vice versa. And what they have is some bike rental companies up there where you can go rent a bike. They shuttle you all up to a start point, and that's probably up at White Top. And then it's about a 17-mile portion of the trail down to Damascus, Virginia. So that is just a fun ride. You're on very wide dirt trail, maybe a little bit of stone and gravel. It's not, crazy, but you're going kind of downhill a good portion of the way. You've got trestles, old trestles. It used to be a train track in many places. In most places, you've got places to stop and enjoy nature and eat. You've got some safety, maybe little emergency stops in case there's somebody getting injured. But it's just a great outdoor activity, and it's called the Creeper Trail. All right, so now we're jumping into day trip number 2, and we were out in the mountains. Now we're heading east and southeast to the beaches. And actually, we're gonna hit the beaches that are lake beaches, and we've got a couple of those lakes, and then we're gonna go east to the ocean, and that's the saltwater beach. So what you probably understood already if you've listened to some of my videos, some of my map tours about the area, we've got 2 good-sized lakes in the Charlotte area: Lake Norman on the north side, Lake Wylie on the south side. Both really great for kayaking, for boating, for water skiing, for just pleasure cruising. If you live on the shoreline there, people just enjoy just hanging out in their backyards, looking out across the lakes, and it's just so much to do. They also have on all those lakes, or both of these lakes, public beaches and public launch points and restaurants. So you can go to any of those and get in the water. They also have marinas that will rent you, not all of them, but some of them will rent you boats, and usually those big old pontoon boats. I know there's a marina down in Tega Cay. I just did a video on Tega Cay here somewhere, and I talked about the marina down there that will rent you a party boat for all day. It's about 8 hours long, and you can rent it for about $500, $550, something like that. So lots of activity on the lakes. If you go further west, you're going to run into Lake Lure, and the claim to fame out in Lake Lure, they're part of Hollywood. A lot of the movie Dirty Dancing was done in Lake Lure, or around Lake Lure, and that's probably one of the most serene lakes you're going to find in North Carolina. And just an awesome setting. People go there to relax, and it is a very relaxing lake. And that's my opinion. Of course, I'm not a local. They might have different opinions. And both Lake Wylie and Lake Norman are anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes or 25 to 35 to 45 minutes from Charlotte, depending on where in Charlotte you're located and where on the lake you're going. And Lake Lure, that, like I said, is to the west. That's about 2 hours to the west of Charlotte. Now, if you're heading east, you're going to find 3 lakes. It's High Rock Lake, and I've talked about these before, Baden Lake, and then Lake Tillery. They're about 1 to 2 hours from Charlotte to the east. And again, depends on where on the lake you're going, the far side or the near side, and where in Charlotte you're coming from. So those have some of the same amenities that Lake Wylie might have, Lake Norman might have, and Lake Lure might have. I think of those 3 lakes as a little bit more laid back. All right, now we're going to head further east, and like I said, further east and southeast, and we're going to hit the Atlantic Ocean. And what you're looking at, or what you're going to see out there about 3 hours away, is the Wilmington area. And you've got Redsville Beach, Carolina Beach, Oak Island, Fort Story's got a beach, Holden Beach, and that's up and down the North Carolina coast on the Wilmington side. For those who want to spend a little bit more money and get a more private feel, you've got Bald Head Island near Southport, again, which is near Oak Island. And then you can go further south into South Carolina and hit Myrtle Beach. Again, that's 3.5 hours. Charleston's got Pawleys Island, Folly Beach, and we've spent a week at Folly. It's a great place. You've got lots to do at all these beaches other than just sit around and get burned. You can do that too, but there's lots of places to go. See the lighthouses, see the aquariums like Fort Story's Aquarium, see the historical monuments, but a lot to do on the ocean side of the Carolinas. All right, so day trip number 3 brings back some great family memories. For me, it's a little bit near and dear to my heart. And if you want to get away from the hustle and bustle of your job, of the city, if you live uptown Charlotte or the suburbs or your neighborhood, a great way to do that is by getting out into nature. And well, in my mind, it's going camping, but we're kind of talking day trips. So we'll talk about where you can go for a day trip in a camping area, and if you want to, go ahead and spend the night. All right, the first place we'll talk about is about 65 to 75 minutes west again of Charlotte, just off Route 85 into South Carolina, just barely, and that's Kings Mountain State Park, just like I said, on the South Carolina side of the border. It's nearby to Kings Mountain National Battlefield, and that's a great site of a crucial Revolutionary War battle between the colonials, good guys, and at the time the British were the bad guys. So that's a great combination of a camping area, a national battlefield, or a national park to go through. We primarily did tent camping there, but you could also bring your RV there. And at the campsite, you have an opportunity to go stay for the day, hike. There's paddle boards. You can just laze around the fire while your kids are off at the playground. And the playground is a swing set, so they better bring some other things to do. But just again, a great relaxing time. And I'm starting to feel that we're on a theme here with my day trips, and they all involve outdoor activities or activities of some sort. So for those of you more sedate, we'll have to do another video on where you can go and just sit around and stare. Sorry about that. But anyway, we're going to try and keep it to a day trip. So you can go walking in the mountains. Kings Mountain Battleground is fairly hilly, but that's a great day trip to learn about some history. You've got monuments there. You've got placards explaining what took place on Kings Mountain and how that affected the outcome of the Revolutionary War. So again, it is a day trip. Like I said, depending on where you live in Charlotte, 65, 70 minutes to the west. Oh, I almost forgot, they've got a great museum store there as well. So bring a couple extra dollars, buy your kids a book on the history of the Revolutionary War, or buy them a musket. Lastly, about Kings Mountain, and how could I forget this, they do enactments or reenactments there, some Civil War skirmishes, Revolutionary War skirmishes. So that's kind of cool if you can time it just right. And again, we were there to see a couple of them, and there's the guys, they're great. They explain what's going on, they explain their weapons, they explain some of the battle and what took place. So again, that's Kings Mountain National Park. Now, a little bit closer to Charlotte is Crowder's Mountain. Again, that's more of a hiking trail. It's a great mountain. You've got great views from Crowder's Mountain of 360 views, I believe, where you can see South Carolina, North Carolina. And then even a little bit closer to home, to Charlotte, but south, is Cane Creek Park, and I've gone camping there as well. Cane Creek has tent camping and cabin camping, but Cane Creek is much more than just going out in the wilderness and camping. It's about 1,050 acres with about 350 acre lake stuck in the middle or placed strategically in the middle. Tons of things to do. You've got fishing, you've got guided tours in nature. Again, you can go hiking and biking. There's a play area, I believe there was when I was down there a number of years ago. You can read on Yelp or some of the reviews about the place where people went for their baby showers, team events, or just social gatherings. So that's Cane Creek Park, south of Charlotte, by about 45 minutes. And now the closest place to town that we're going to talk about in this section on this day trip is the McDowell Nature Preserve in southwest Charlotte. And that is right on the edge of Charlotte. Head down Route 49, which is South Tryon Street, and it's also bordering on Lake Wylie. Great place to go have a season-ending soccer party, a personal event again, weddings take place at these places all the time if you're an outdoors person. Different cookouts, you can bring your own food. They have a pavilion there where you can cook. You can go learn about nature. There's hiking trails, and you can camp out there as well. And that is McDowell Nature Preserve, just southwest of Charlotte. All right, so for day trip number 4, we're going to head back out west once again, and we're going to make a day trip to the city of Asheville, North Carolina. It's about 2 hours and 24 minutes from South Charlotte, and there are many things to do in Asheville and around Asheville that make it really a true day trip. And as with most of these day trips, you could always arrange to spend the night. We'll talk about that here a little bit too. But number one on the list of things to do, and we've done this several times as a family. My wife has taken my mom out there when she's come to visit, but that is visit the Biltmore estate. Biltmore is the largest privately owned home in the United States, 135,280 square feet with 250 rooms. That's kind of big. It's massive. And my advice, if you're going to go out and visit, is pick the spring, early spring, because it's great and the foliage is fantastic, or maybe in the fall when before it gets cold. The summer you might be standing out in line, might get hot. Also, the winter is great because they have a special Christmas setup, Christmas decoration setup. So fantastic. That's the Biltmore estate. Built in 1895, and it's still owned by the Biltmore descendants. You can actually, like I said, make this into a day tour. It's going to cost you between $70 and $110 based on the season. And when I went the last time, you get a headset and you run through the whole house. They give you tours and you can listen to the history of that era and also the building. It's amazing sitting on an 8,000 acre private estate. But it's just amazing the things you can learn going through that tour. I thought it was going to be one of those, I'll go with the wife, but it turned out I really loved it. Now, again, if you're looking for a walkable town and, with a hill or two, Asheville fits the bill. Great number of private shops in downtown Asheville, places to eat for all price ranges, some fancy restaurants, some pubs with breweries. They've got some formal breweries there as well. Some of them connected to the pub, some not. But again, some high-end restaurants as well. This is a very artsy-fartsy type uptown or downtown where you can walk around. And to be honest, for me, it gave me the feeling of being in the 70s. So just be ready for that. Now, if you're done walking through the Biltmore or you've got a lot of time, you can go to a baseball game at McCormick Field, which is just down one of the big hills in Asheville. They have a minor league baseball team there, and that field was built in 1924. I think they've continually had minor league baseball there. They've also got a football and a soccer field on that complex now. I've been up there for some club soccer games. Just a really beautiful environment there. Now, if you do decide to make this more than a day trip, you can look at one of the bed and breakfasts up there. They've got plenty of those, and now Airbnb. And some of them are located in older homes. And the one where I stayed one time, I think this is my memory, the owners actually cooked you breakfast and you had breakfast at a dinner table, or actually it was a more formal dinner table, but it was really nice and comfortable. Now, if you want to splurge a little bit more and spend the night, you can go to the famed Grove Park Inn. And that was built in 1913, and the inn hosted the final scene of the movie Dirty Dancing. And I mentioned Lake Lure earlier, had a lot of the scenes. Primarily, the movie was filmed on Lake Lure. They came a little bit further west to the Grove Park Inn for that final scene. That's when they were dancing, and Patrick Swayze, had the girl overhead, all that good stuff. So, you're going to find that might be a little more expensive than the bed and breakfast. At the low end, you're going to get a room for in the mid 300s. At the upper end, you're going to pay $1,000 or more for a 700 square foot room that's got like a couch and a great view. But for the $1,000, you're also going to get a round of golf and a bag of golf balls, or a sleeve of golf balls. So I would like to do that. I probably will not spend $1,000. I have been there for a business meeting, and I think no matter what room you're in, the place is awesome. It's a beautiful environment, and you feel like you're in the lap of luxury, regardless of spending the $300 and something for the less expensive room or $1,000 for the more expensive room. I loved it there. I felt like I was being catered to all the time. Okay, and before we get to our bonus and talk about day trip number 5, if you like what you're hearing, please press the like, press the share it with people who might be coming here to Charlotte. Subscribe to this channel. That'll help us out, get this message out to more and more people that are thinking about making a move to Charlotte or living in Charlotte. And if you've got some comments, good, bad, indifferent, don't hurt my feelings too much, but good, bad, or indifferent, put those in the comment section and let us know what you want to hear about, and let us know what you liked and didn't like in this type of video. Okay, so here we are with day trip number 5, and it's really not necessarily a day trip, but it's a trip inside of Charlotte. We're gonna pretty much stay in uptown Charlotte once we arrive there and spend the day working an agenda until the evening, and we may even negotiate with some professional sports leagues to have them change the timing of their games to fit your agenda. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to park our car down at the Link station in Pineville. That's southwest of Charlotte. And that's the first station on the Lynx line coming up into Charlotte and heading up north to the university area. So we'll get there. It's about the intersection of 485 and South Boulevard. Take us maybe 10-15 minutes to ride uptown. We're going to get off at a place called Stonewall Station, and then we're going to walk up the hill a little bit and down the hill. We're going to go past Bank of America Stadium and to a place called Community Matters for breakfast. It's a great place for breakfast. I've met my friend Ryan there in the past, a couple others, but again, it's a full breakfast and we want to make sure we're eating healthy for the rest of the day. All right, after we're done breakfast, we've all javaed up, we're all full of coffee. We're going to walk back uptown and visit a few of the museums in town. We've got the Mint Museum of the South, or Mint Museum Uptown on Tryon, and from there we're going to head north a little bit to Discovery Place and get our science appetite filled for the day. Those are both pretty cool places. Discovery's been there for a long time. Mint Museum's a little bit newer. It's one of the two Mint Museums in Charlotte. The other one's down off Randolph Road. So from there, it's about lunchtime, so we're going to head down south to the French Quarter and go to Valhalla. It's my favorite place in the French Quarter. If I'm with you guys, I'm going to be grabbing a steak sandwich and a beer. I can't believe the price they charge for those steak sandwiches. It is an awesome sandwich and extremely well priced, I think. So go ahead, we'll do that. And then we're going to walk down the hill a little bit through Bearden Park, and we're going to go to either Truist Field and watch a minor league baseball game, and this is all very walkable, or we're going to head over a little bit further south, a couple blocks, to Bank of America Field and watch Charlotte FC win an MLS soccer game. So that's our really excitement entertainment for the night, or for the afternoon. So as early evening rolls around, we're done the soccer game or the baseball game, whichever was fitting into our schedule. We're going to head back uptown to a place called the Wilmington Performing Arts Center, or Belk Theater, to catch a show. If you're not from Charlotte, I've had a lot of clients start to think about moving here, and they want to know, if the potato truck's going to be moving fast enough for them to get out of the way as they're driving up and downtown. This is a city, we've got about 2.7 million people, the population in the metropolitan statistical area. You've got about 900,000 plus in Charlotte. So this is a city, and why I'm saying that is the Blumenthal Performing Arts Center has all sorts of Broadway shows that come. I've seen Mamma Mia, I've seen Lion King, I've seen Book of Mormon. I think we walked out on Rent, didn't like that as much, but they've got Moulin Rouge coming up, and then that new one, Message in a Bottle, that's coming up on the schedule to the theater. There's also a ballet and an orchestra that plays in the vicinity. So there's some culture as well as arts. Now to end the day, we're going to walk further south to South End. That's a little bit more the young hipster crowd. We're going to grab a late snack and maybe grab a refreshment before getting back on the links and then heading back to our car. Again, that links runs up and down frequently, so you're going to be able to hit all these spots anywhere you want in Charlotte, uptown Charlotte, north and south. Now that's a long day, so I would advise you to dress in comfortable clothing. And if it's summer, make sure you wear a hat, sunglasses maybe, and wear some hokas to keep your feet comfortable. Now, as I said, we'd love to hear from you on things that you want to see more videos about. Is it the suburbs, neighborhoods, things to do? Somebody told me that they want to hear more about the taxes on homes and the different tax rates, so we're going to cover that. Thank you, John. We're going to cover that in a future video. But again, we'd love to hear what you want to hear, and please go ahead, press that subscribe, press the like, and leave a comment. You guys, thanks for spending time with us, and have a great rest of your day.